Hello everyone, I'm YounesHH and this is Blue Line CV and welcome to a Sarri live stream discussion. I've got a few guests on today. Just to let you guys know, Younes will be on in the next 1 to 2 minutes, so he's not going to be too long. Is he even here right now? No, he isn't. You guys, I've got some special guests on today. Louis from 100pctChelsea, Double H as well from Have Hope Football. So you guys, if you want to introduce yourself, starting with Louis.
Hello, mate. How are you? You good?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. I've been better, but everything's okay. And Double H, if you want to introduce yourself to the stream as well.
Yeah, man, it's me, Half Hope, Double H from Half Hope Football Hotman. So yeah, man, just rolling in through. Hopefully we can chop up and see how Chelsea can somehow keep Eden Hazard, which is going to be very, very tricky indeed. So yeah,
and I think that's probably the best way to just start this conversation, because you guys, throughout this live stream, it's going to be on for the next 40 minutes. We're going to be talking about Sarri, Gianfranco Zola has been announced by the club, and we're going to be talking about the future. You know, we're going to be debating as well in regards to if Sarri is the right appointment. And yeah, starting with the conversation, talking about Eden Hazard. Now, Double H, how are you feeling? Do you think that Hazard's staying? Do you feel optimistic, or are you quite doubtful?
I mean, you have to look at the reality of things and you have to be factual. Eden Hazard before the World Cup was okay, top 5, top 6, you know, because I felt that he proved that he was the best player technically and naturally, the most naturally talented player in the Premier League, even if Chelsea finished 5th, but they still finished 5th. So that was still a hard argument. So guys are saying, well, De Bruyne and so forth. After the World Cup, especially after the England game, the Brazil game, even the France game, in my view, Hazard has proven that this guy is now top 3. Like what he showed at the World Cup was like, okay, this guy's now moved to a different level. So to go from where you're regarded as one of the best performers at the World Cup to playing in the Europa League is tricky. Real Madrid have just sold Cristiano Ronaldo. They need a marquee player. You're not going to get Neymar, who PSG paid so much for. You're not going to get Mbappe now, especially they just bought him. The only realistic option is Hazard because they need a big name. You can't do you need a massive name. And the only massive name that Real Madrid can realistically get is Hazard. So for Chelsea, it's going to be difficult because, I mean, the only thing in their favor is Sarri is here. This is now going to be football, which suits Hazard because the pragmatic approach with Conte did not suit Hazard. You saw how well Hazard was playing under Martinez, who's an offensive coach. Sarri is an offensive coach. So the only argument they have is if Sarri can say, look, we are building a new entire team that is far more catered to you than what Mourinho's was, far more catered to you than what Conte was. Like, I am the guy to really give you the freedom that you crave. That is the only argument. But man, guys, you have to be real. If Real Madrid come calling and say, Hazard, Cristiano is gone, we want to build the team around you. He's 27 years old. How do you say no? And that's just the conundrum that we're in.
Yeah, Louis, what's your thoughts on the whole Eden Hazard situation?
Yeah, for me, it's just a case of, look, I think first time I really thought about the whole situation was, you know, probably when he was in his 2nd year. That's when I looked at it and I thought, you know, this guy has the potential to go to Real Madrid. He is a very good player, and there's no doubt on that. As Double H is saying, you know, it's a very tricky situation as a Chelsea fan. But I mean, for me, I kind of accepted it. Come that he's come his 2nd year. You know, I thought, you know, if he's good enough to go and the figure does come in and Chelsea accept the fee, then at the end of the day, you know, we've just got to accept it. You know, let's be honest, no player is bigger than the club. But you know, if the right fee comes in and players can, you know, move on, that's fine. But when we say no player is bigger than the club, no club is bigger than Real Madrid. So it's kind of a case of, you know, for me, if the right figure comes in, so we can reinvest it correctly. If Chelsea are comfortable with it, if Hazard, obviously, you know, having apparently have verbal agreement with Real Madrid, you know, I think it's a case of if it suits all parties, then I'm open to, it's the wrong word, but I'm kind of set just to to just get on with it. You know, obviously, I understand when people are upset with that, saying, you know, Eden Hazard is the best player at Chelsea. He allows us to do so many things. You know, he pulls us by, you know, by our necks across finishing lines and stuff. You know, yes, he's a good player. Yes, he's one of the best that I personally have seen play live. Probably the best I've seen play live in a Chelsea shirt in terms of skill. You know, if you love something, you got to let it go, I guess is the phrase that we use here. But yeah, I mean, you know, it hurts a lot to say that. That's how I feel, basically.
But can I just add one quick thing and then give you back to you guys? I think, because I'm going to do like a video on this, but this is just what I alluded to in the video I'm going to do. Like, Sarri needs to know now what the deal is, because he's taking training regimes now. And when you're taking training and you're a new manager, you need to know whether your star player is with you or without you. If your star player is with you, then Sarri knows that, okay, now this is my Napoli mindset, and this is how we're going to fit Hazard into how we're going to play. But if you are kept in the dark, and literally before the season starts, Hazard now moves, all that training has gone to waste, because you've done all that training with Hazard as a centerpiece. So if Hazard says, I want to leave, then Sarri knows that, fine, let's find a replacement for Hazard. I now have to now build my training regimes around a different star man. So it is very important that Sarri knows what the deal is with Hazard, because that will affect how he trains with the team and what kind of tactics they have setting up and everything. So, and also just one quick thing is that even if Hazard goes, remember, if you look at on paper, Roma are better than Napoli. On paper, Inter Milan are better than Napoli. On paper, Lazio are probably better than Napoli, and Sarri was able to be the only team that competed with Juventus more than Roma, Inter Milan, who are better on paper and had deeper squads than him. So even if Hazard goes, I think Sarri has shown that, hey man, I can still work with bits and pieces and still be competitive with my approach to football. So,
yeah. I mean that's the exact point that I think people are missing out on. If you look at media commentary, I think a lot of people are missing out the point of Sarri. If it was any business, let alone football, you know, if you bring a manager in this late, or someone who needs to be in control of a group of people, they need to know what is going on. And I think Sarri, one, it's been taken ages to get in, and because of that, it's given him a smaller window to get the players he needs and to sort out situations. You know, this Courtois situation, this Hazard situation. I mean, literally, as soon as he signed his contract, he should be waking up at 6 a.m. the next day, and he's got the point of going, right, now I've got to try and convince Eden Hazard to stay. I've got to convince Thibaut Courtois to stay. And, you know, he's got to build what he needs. And it's the fact that I think that from a managerial perspective, it doesn't look pretty. And it does need to be sorted out pretty much within the next week. So it gives us Chelsea time to get even more players and try and figure out the situation.
Yeah, and you guys, before I give my thoughts and opinions on this, we have finally been joined by Younes. Hey, Younes, how you doing?
Hello, guys. I'm good. How you doing, Louis?
Good to introduce yourself to the stream.
Very good.
Good. Say that again, Nini.
If you want to introduce yourself to the stream, I've been looking at the chat. A lot of people have been waiting for you.
I'm sorry for my lateness. Technical difficulties. But no, for those who don't know me, I'm Younes. These two know me very well here. But yes, I talk Chelsea, football, all sorts really, but mainly Chelsea now. And yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time to be having loads of discussions. There's loads going on. Loads.
Perfect. So far, but just debating about Eden Hazard. And, you know, everyone's thinking that he could be leaving. In my personal opinion, I don't think Real Madrid have the money to fund Eden Hazard. I think they've left it too late. I think Madrid are preparing for a season without a Galactico signing. You know, I can't see us selling Hazard just now. I mean, the guys, in my opinion, he was the best player in the World Cup. God knows how Modric won it. I just don't see it happening. I don't see Madrid being able to afford him and Hazard leaving this late.
So you're saying that Madrid won't buy a replacement for Cristiano this summer? They're going to go into a summer without a replacement?
I'm thinking, I mean, really, for Cristiano Ronaldo, you have to sign someone on that same caliber. The three guys I'm thinking of are Mbappe, Neymar, and Eden. I think with all three signings, they're very hard. And I think with Madrid's, I mean, if you look at their recent transfer history over the past 3 seasons, they haven't been signing Galacticos. I mean, really, their first team has been pretty similar for the past couple of years. And I think they're trying to do business a bit different now. They're trying to do things a bit smarter. I think with Eden Hazard going, again, cough up the money, pay the 200 million that Chelsea want. If you do that, we'll let you go. You know, club put the price for you on Hazard. And that's the thing. Madrid can't afford to pay that right now. And I just don't see it happening just yet.
I think that it's strong words saying that Neymar, Mbappe, and other players are on the same level as Ronaldo. I think it's the same with us.
No, I don't mean like necessarily like, you know, the same level. Of course, Ronaldo's a legend, but I mean the same caliber replacement. I mean, you're not gonna replace Ronaldo with like Kingsley Coman. You know what I mean?
It's true though.
That'd be quite interesting. Not gonna.
I just think that it's going to be like for Real Madrid fans, if they go into next season and all they have is Bale, Isco, and Benzema, and you're going up against Coutinho, Dembele, Messi, and so forth, how do you compete with that? Because obviously the main aim is that no, we have to try and do something in La Liga. Obviously, Champions League, let's go for 4 in a row, but we're going to do something. And they're good players, but they need a marquee star player. And I think for me, it's one of those things of where you may take an initial loss and gain it eventually. So they may say, you know what, let's take a loss with this Hazard. We may not have the money, but we'll take a loss. But through shirt sales and marketing and everything, we think that we can make up the money eventually. But I think that if you're a Madrid fan or you're one of those Madrid guys and you're like, we can't go into next season without buying. You wouldn't buy a guy that gives the goal that Cristiano, but we have to buy a marquee name. We have to buy a star name.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though. I mean, having to buy and being able to are two different things. I think with Eden Hazard, I mean, you know, if you look at someone like Neymar and Mbappe, you know, as I was saying in my video with Mbappe, if Madrid were to sign him, he'd be the face of Madrid for the next 10 years. And just look at his profile as rising. I mean, this guy will definitely win a Ballon d'Or sometime in his future. I think with Neymar too, I think when it comes to like that commercial market value, he's probably close to Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't think Hazard has anywhere near that same amount. And even then, you know, I was corrected in that video too. You know, this whole thing about clubs earning a lot from shirt sales, it's not really the case at all, really. They earn like a bit from that. But at the same time, the clubs are still making money from the image rights of the players. I mean, remember when Rooney signed that new 350k contract a few years ago? All United did to fund that was given a bit more percentage of his image rights. So imagine how much money Rooney was making for United. Now, you know, multiply that exponentially for Ronaldo. I don't think Hazard has that same clout for Madrid to be able to be like, you know what, it's worth spending 200 million, because they'll be looking at their team thinking, well, we've got Asensio, we've got Isco, we've got Bale, James might come back. So we can survive with those 4 players. And think about it like this. Imagine if Ronaldo never played for Real Madrid. If you were to look at a team that had Isco, Asensio, Vasquez, James, and Bale, you'd still be thinking this is a team that can win stuff. They can win a Champions League. So I don't know. I just don't see Madrid doing it.
To be honest, I think for those of you, the people in the comments that say I don't know anything about football, I mean, this is what I study for my degree. So as a matter of fact, Real Madrid could afford to sign Hazard, and I mean 200 million to them, they'll make that back in like less than half a season. That's nothing, you know. Real Madrid as a club, Manchester United, Liverpool, even Arsenal are examples of clubs which are self-sustainable because of their reputation abroad, their reputation in various other markets. Obviously, they're on stock exchanges and various other stuff as sites as well. They can afford to sign Eden Hazard. Shirt sales, even ticket sales going through doors. Honestly, the clubs of their caliber, and including if you look at England clubs, every single Premier League club and probably halfway down the Championship, ticket sales mean nothing. That's gate receipts. It's a piece of piss. You know, it's literally they can let people in for free. So at the end of the day, you know, Hazard when people say that Real Madrid can't afford it, yeah, they can afford it. They can do what they want. They might just don't want to pay the price. They could see if they could see there's a better deal elsewhere. Like we're already saying, they've got Asensio, they've got Vasquez, and like you're saying, they're wanting to be a lot more smart in their transfer business. And, we've seen that already with Zinedine Zidane. I don't even think they made a major signing last summer. So, as well as that, if we're going to argue the case of can they or can they not afford it, or they've not spent money in a summer transfer window previous. So it's a case of, it could happen, and it's likely to happen. It's just they don't want it.
Yeah, I hear that. But I don't really even think it's a case of Madrid's not being able to afford it. I just don't think they think it's worth it. I think if you had 200 million, and let's say they could potentially get Mbappe or Neymar, I think Madrid would rather go for either of those two players first over Eden Hazard. Yeah, sorry.
I think that is it. I honestly think that it's not a case of they can't afford to. They can. We know it's Real Madrid. They are pretty much the most self-sustainable club on the planet. The money that's coming for Ronaldo as well, which I believe is about 99 million, that could easily go towards the transfer, and then they've got to pay half of that, and they're sorted. I think they're just trying to be shrewd. They know, as you said just now, that Mbappe and Neymar probably have a bit more star quality and a bit more of an image than Eden Hazard, and they could probably get something a lot more worth their deal with Mbappe or Neymar. But it's not easy to get Mbappe or Neymar, and if they can't settle for that, then maybe their answer is Eden Hazard, and they're probably trying to get the best deal that they could possibly get instead of just throwing money like it's nothing. I think, and I don't know if it's true, but the thing with yesterday and the rumour out with Di Marzio saying that 160 million euros was made as an offer for Eden Hazard and Courtois, that could be Madrid just trying to get the lowest price possible.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I think it's a case of them analysing it. Can they get Mbappe? Can they get Neymar? Maybe not. Eden Hazard's the answer. If it is, try and get him for as least as possible. That's probably it.
Exactly.
So let me ask you guys this then. So if there's a situation where Hazard is trying to force a move, so Hazard says, I want to leave Chelsea, I want to join Real Madrid, should Chelsea still try and force him to stay?
I mean, that's the thing. We put the price. We put the price over 100 million.
It depends on the price for me.
Yeah,
it's unhealthy. We've already had issues of player power inside the club. I mean, we've already seen what happened in Mourinho's second spell in the 15-16 season. We saw what happened last season with Conte. Do you really want to keep someone of Hazard's caliber, of Hazard's power in the dressing room, if he doesn't want to stay? That's literally an accident waiting to happen.
See, I think there's one little factor. I think there's with this situation we're in now, and Sarri being at the club, he might just have that little bit of a difference that Conte or someone else didn't have in terms of trying to tempt him to stay. Why? Because of his philosophy and his way of playing. I think that could be the deciding factor for Eden Hazard to go, you know what, let me try one more season. I might actually have all the freedom that I want as a player. Yeah. I might have control that I want in on the pitch. Maybe Sarri might be the guy to keep him at the club and change his mindset. It's possible. But
I think, Younes, but the situation about that, which is what I was explaining to the guys earlier, is that he's 27 now. So this is really, I say, like 26, 27, 28. Yeah. These are your peak years. And these opportunities to play for Real Madrid come once. Because if you say no now, Real Madrid are now off to the next guy. They won't come back again. And my thing about this is that you will be playing Europa League next season. The Premier League is the most competitive it has ever been. It was like next season, the Premier League will be the most competitive it's ever been. It is not a given Chelsea will finish top 4 because who knows what Arsenal are going to do. We already know about Tottenham, all these other boys. So that top 4 is difficult. So if you're Hazard right now, and as I said again, the only thing that would keep him is Sarri, that I am more suited to your way of playing because you are far better in an attacking system, which is what Sarri was about, which is what Martinez was about. But the thing that I say is that if Real Madrid are serious, Hazard is, look at my age right now. Do I want to risk it because I'm going to be playing Europa League next season? have the chance of, because if he joins Real Madrid, I'll become a star for Real Madrid, something that is rare. These guys, for every football player, one thing they dream of is, I want to be the star player for Real Madrid. I want to be the guy that the team is built around. And that is a very rare thing. So
that's true.
I don't know, though. I don't know. I think there's one thing we're all forgetting, and that's the fact that, you know, clubs like us, we don't sell our best player when there's like about less than 3 weeks to go to the transfer window ends. Honestly, the only way I can ever see a deal happening is if Real Madrid do offer players, and good players, that would actually tempt Chelsea. Other than that, I just can't see it happening right now. I think with Hazard, I don't think he's necessarily like, oh, I hate Chelsea now, I want to go. Maybe he's thinking, you know, if I sign this new 5-year contract, I mean, I'm going to be tied down to Chelsea forever. You know, this is probably my last chance to leave. I think it's that situation where it's like, you know, you get cold feet when you're, you know, when it's your wedding day, you start having a bit of doubts when the reality sets in. But yeah, I just don't think Hazard will be going. I think once he comes back from holiday, because here's the thing, I mean, he can't even negotiate yet with Real Madrid just now because, I mean, maybe he can, but he's on his holiday right now. I mean, this guy hasn't had a break since the season's ended. And that just really, it just reduces the time a deal like this to be complete. And it would be such a complicated deal as well. I don't think it's happening. I mean, as I was reading from reports too, if Hazard was, you know, if he wanted to go, he should have said in April he wanted to go. That would have given the club time to think. They're going to negotiate with Madrid's during that time as well. And it could have been a different situation. But you guys, I think we've spoken enough about Eden Hazard. Other things we need to talk about. Of course, the news that came out recently with Gianfranco Zola returning to the club. Now, for me, I'm very excited by this appointment. I think it's an amazing PR move by the club and for Sarri as well, because here's the thing. There's a lot of Chelsea fans who are probably upset at how Antonio Conte left. I think it's going to make that transition period for Sarri easier now that one of the greatest ever Chelsea players of our history is working alongside him and he's back at the club. But Double H, what's your thoughts on this whole Gianfranco Zola appointment?
Actually, wait. First thing, can I have the names of the Chelsea fans who were unhappy that Conte was let go? I actually want the names, their addresses, their families, because anybody who was unhappy that a guy who was trying to tank the season because he wanted to be given a £9 million severance package, there's something morally, ethically, and philosophically wrong with you. So what does it say that anybody who says, "Oh, poor Conte, you got paid $9 million for losing to Bournemouth," there's something very wrong with you. So
I can go get my old man for you if you want. I'm sure he'll step in and tell you a few things about that.
Craziness, man.
I'm not disappointed that Conte left. He had to go, but after being woken up yesterday morning by my old man and ended up literally in bed for an hour listening to him rage about how Antonio Conte has been let go, I can pretty much summarize that in 5 minutes for you as why he's pissed off that he's been let go. I think some fans feel that way because, put it this way, we haven't had we have what many people consider a top caliber manager, or in terms of tactics and stuff, for a few years. I think a lot of fans identify with Antonio Conte after such a bad stint. You know, obviously when he came in, there was jumping into the fans in his Armani suit rather than just being the bloke who stands on the touchline in his Armani suit. You know, people identify with him. He gave us a clear image of what we could do, what we're capable of. And then instead of the club backing him in the next window, instead of going, "You've won us the league, give what do you want, we'll go out and get it," they failed to do that. And I think a lot of people agreed with that, and you were angry with the club more than Antonio Conte at the beginning of the season, the previous season. Yeah. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he did tank it, but this is where other people disagree in terms of the feeling of, you know, he deserved better. And it's a case of, you know, he's no. Hang on. I'm not saying that. This is me
speaking on behalf. Yeah,
speaking on behalf. Don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Exactly. We see what happened last time that happened. Bloody hell. I think at the end of the day, that's what people felt. I think people felt he should have been back more. But he wasn't, which is my argument to it of he wasn't. He became a dick. He wasted everyone else's time.
Yeah.
if that was someone who worked for me, I'd have sacked him ages ago. I'd have had him gone. Bloody hell! If I was Chelsea after Watford, I would have gone. You know what, mate? Like, just get out. Like, you're wasting everyone's time. However, it seems that when we're saying Chelsea, for example, aren't a club that sell their best players, we were also a club a few years ago who sacked a manager after such a poor spell. And I think it's a case of now Chelsea's image is changing. Fingers crossed. I mean, for me, I think that this is a very interesting situation with Sarri. Obviously, it almost reminds me of Villas-Boas, where Chelsea was so keen to change their image. They flip-flapped it straight away. But it's going to have to be a case of there needs to be time. And I think that, Antonio Conte didn't get given the time and wasn't backed because he was so, how do I put it? Prepubescent, I guess is the way of putting it, in terms of his attitude towards the back end of this season. But we'll have to see. Someone saying I should be board of directors.
I mean, you made a good point about you made an interesting point about obviously Sarri, Villas-Boas. We're going to end the final part of this live stream talking about Sarri's appointment, the future, later on after this discussion. So you guys stay tuned for that. But yeah, Younes, what's your thoughts and opinions, man? I can see you contemplating in the corner.
Thinking slowly but surely.
That's always dangerous. Never let him think.
The thing with Conte, we all agreed at the time that he wasn't backed. He wasn't given what he wanted completely. He was pretty much always offered a plan B to his plan A. And he just had to run with it. And we knew he was getting frustrated. You could see in press conferences, he was screaming out, not literally, but screaming out for people to understand that he's being done. And it got to a point where the second season come along. We'd already won the league. He started, displaying his frustrations, and it just got... Sometimes, you're contracted, you have to work with what you have, and you just have to be professional about it, despite the fact that we know you're being done, right? But you can't hold everyone hostage. It's as simple as that, because you're just going to turn it toxic. You're going to make players want to leave. You're going to make players not want to train. You're just going to... It doesn't help anyone or anything, and it doesn't even help him, even though he's left now, and he ended it with an FA Cup. If he didn't end it with an FA Cup, he would have ended that season with nothing but complaints, hostility, a toxic atmosphere, and you're going to try and tempt other clubs to come and get you. It doesn't even help him. I'm hoping that this appointment with Sarri is going to change the way that we approach things and the way that we run ourselves as a football club. Right, because as Louis pointed out, this is the direction that we wanted to go with AVB. But I felt that was too premature, and people know my feelings on AVB. I'm not going to go there.
Trash. He's trash.
Hey,
that's what made Younes. That's like pretty much that is Andre Villas-Boas is Younes. That is it.
That set me off. The thing with AVB, that was done way too early, with players that were already made. He was trying to change something that he couldn't change. It's as simple as that. But now, with this and the profile of players that we have, it's really interesting to see how these players are going to develop in an attacking manner, in a new philosophy, in someone who's very calm and collected. I like the way Sarri talks and displays himself, and he seems very modest and very honest. I like what I see. The shift that we have, we're so used to a manager on the touchline that's passionate and raw. Since Mourinho, we enjoyed that. We enjoyed having someone that was there that, was going to defend us, and it was us against the world, and we came out on top because we're the best. We love that. But now with Sarri, it's more of a, let's try and show what we can do on the pitch, and let's try and be the best with the ball, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
He reminds me a lot of Benitez in terms of that. I think love him or hate him. I know you probably want to stab me for saying that.
Come on, mate. Even Napoli fans will shoot you for that.
Oh, trust me, I know. I had that conversation earlier today. I think look, Benitez, I think he does remind me a lot in that sense, because he is very self-assured, and love him or hate him, again, he's a manager who you knew what would do, you knew what his capability was, and he got us across the line, and he's doing it with Newcastle, he did it with Liverpool, in a sense of let's do it on the pitch. And like we're saying already, I think this is the right appointment at the right time. If you're going to start changing the philosophy, do it now. If also, I think if Hazard was to go, I know going back to that point, I'm very sorry. You know, I understand it would be a backward step. There is no doubt about that. But always try and look at it with a glass half full. You know, it could mean that it pushes other players forward that could fit Sarri's style. You know, it could give other people other opportunities, you know, and it might mean money in the bank for another transfer in another position. You know, it's a case of we need to look at it stuff in different ways. And I think Sarri's very exciting because that is what he also offers. You know, he's going to offer younger players an opportunity as well. You saw him do it at Empoli with Zielinski. You know, he brought him through, then took him to Napoli. You know, even with this squad, it is so young. There are so many players that with capabilities. You mean you've got Loftus-Cheek. You saw Fikayo Tomori's on the plane to Perth. You know, Ampadu's another player which can be in and around the squad and develop under Sarri. You know, there's a lot that's going on here, and I'm quite excited to see what happens, despite my skepticism.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to the Sarri talk, does anyone have any final points in regards to the Gianfranco Zola appointment? Anyone optimistic about that?
There's my point right there on my wall. I'm absolutely buzzing, mate. Have some of that.
No.
You know what?
It's huge.
Go
it's
on.
huge. You know, I think like, you know, that's a huge. I think beyond just what Zola means to Chelsea and his impact on the Premier League, I think it's almost similar to Henry and Martinez, because for Zola, it's like, okay, whatever striker Chelsea have, Zola, I want you to be giving them those little tidbits. Those how do you run? Those little runs, those little things. I think that why Lukaku was so effective were those 2-3 little things that Henry just said. Because again, you can't play on the pitch, but what a guy like Zola can say is that, you know, try to dribble like this, try and move like that, try and move into the space like that. Just don't try and do this, you know, try and, you know, feints a bit like this. So it's that kind of thing of like, beyond just coaching is, I want you to give my striker those little magical touches and information that other guys want to know. You know, because I think, you know, Chelsea definitely need a striker that has the kind of magic and movement that Zola had.
Yeah, perfectly said. Exactly. It's going to be interesting to see how he does coach with the, you know, coach the players at the team as well. And as I keep saying, I think it's going to make Sarri's life even easier. Of course, Lou was talking about how the average fan might feel about Conte leaving, because let's be serious, you know, I know we're very passionate, you know, we like to use social media, we've got YouTube channels, etc., etc. But in the grand scheme of things, there's millions of Chelsea fans. We're the minority when it comes to obviously displaying our passions and trying to be an outlet for people, you know what I mean? So I definitely think that Sarri is still pretty unknown. It's not as if we've signed someone like Ancelotti where, oh, the guy that won the European Cup. I mean, that's what the average person can say. But I definitely think that it was definitely the right appointment. And I'm optimistic with how the club are looking to implement this philosophy and trying to go forward in the future. Now, it looks like there could be another ex-player joining soon, and Michael Ballack, from everything that I'm hearing and from all the reports that are coming out as well. And I think once that happens, I mean, what's going to stop other players too? I mean, I was told to, obviously, Lampard's got ambitions of returning to Chelsea again, Terry as well. But you guys imagine the future, we've got all our legends back at the club, you know, running, having different roles and, you know, and fulfilling different duties in some capacity. I mean, it looks like that's the future we're leading to. And I'm always talking about Bayern Munich, all their ex-legends, you know, they've got important roles when it comes to coaching, you know, head scouts, board roles as well. And there's a reason why Bayern Munich have been one of the top clubs for the past, you know, 40 years, right at the top of European football.
Stop, you're giving me an erection. I've got to hide it with a pillow quickly. Give me a sec, carry on.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. That's what the future's looking like. It looks like we're trying to build towards that. And I think it's the perfect time to start talking about Sarri now, because I think, here's the thing. Sometimes I get these cynical comments from people saying, you're going to be Sarri out soon if he doesn't win, blah, blah, blah. But you guys got to see the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is, let's say hypothetically, Sarri could even be a stepping stone. But his legacy is there's going to be a philosophy at the club. So let's say if Sarri ever did leave, let's say the next year or two, whatever, because let's be serious, it's not based on our history. Managers aren't staying here for 5-10 years. You know, that we should accept that now as fans. But his legacy will be, you know, there's going to be a philosophy at the club, and it's going to make it easier going in the future. You know, think about it like this: when Mourinho left after his first spell, the identity of that team was still there for how many years? And you know, that's how we were able to win the Champions League in a way. It was like the last final hurrah from those types of players. Sarri influencing the team, setting up his training sessions, etc., etc. And let's be serious, the board are backing him too. You know, when you're signing Jorginho, that's a big statement signing. You know, Jorginho is the key to how Sarri's system works. And I think whatever happens with Sarri, that philosophy is still going to be in place for the future.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely echo what you said, because I think basically when you look at where the Premier League is going right now, you have to look at what Man City are doing. And Man City completely and totally dominated the league. And the only team that really touched them were Liverpool. And when you look at how Liverpool play and how Man City play, it's attacking, the ball is on the ground, it's passing and always going forward. And the thing with Sarri and with Napoli is that people actually know about Sarri based on Napoli. Trust me, most people's second team for the past few years was Napoli. Like, if you ask anybody, like, which is your favorite team apart from your club? Oh man, Napoli. I really like how Napoli play. You know, even if they don't win trophies and everything. No, I just basically Napoli were the new Dortmund when like Klopp left. They were like everybody's like second favorite team. So my thing about this is that him coming in now, it's about just putting in an idea. And I think his idea, is suited to the Premier League based on what Man City did and based on what Liverpool did. So I just think that if they manage to play that way, the ball moves forward, it's attacking, and bloody wing backs are allowed to be bloody wing backs and not this kind of stationary bloody objects that just sort of like cross and then go. I mean, seriously, Conte, okay, let me just quickly rant about Conte very quickly. It's like, what the hell is the point of a bloody wing back? Like, I swear he probably instructed Moses and Marcos Alonso, run up, cross, and just go back. There's no diagonals, no freedom to really dribble or join in with the attack. Like, the wing backs in Conte's system were the most ordinary, zero-dimensional thing I've ever seen. And I think with Sarri, he'll actually be able to give more freedom to wing backs to be able to join in the attack. So it actually just looks a bit more interesting when Chelsea go forward.
I doubt it will be wing backs, but I mean, to add,
there'll be fullbacks for sure. It'll be fullbacks. Yeah,
I think if you look at, if you're talking about Conte saying there's no point in wing backs, I think, you know, Alonso and Moses, you know, they're good players, they're good footballers, they're very good technically. However, that is their job. In Conte's system, every player had a job, and you know, that's what we've got out of them. And to be honest, I think that's their capability. You know, Alonso is a very good player going up and down the channels, as is Moses. But again, their final balls that's their game. That is what it was. They developed themselves around. I'm being nice about Moses, very nice.
Easy, be very nice, man. You have it Nigerian on him.
I know. It's a case of, you know, I think those players, that was their job, and I think that is what they were technically probably the top. That's not their top level, but that's what they're best at. I think Emerson might be a left back. I think there's no doubt Azpilicueta will be a right back, because the pair of them are a lot more dynamic, a lot more have ability to do other stuff as well. We've seen that with Emerson. I think I saw that just when he was playing against Burnley, and we went up for that on that Thursday night. You know, he's
exactly.
I think that's what we're more likely to see.
I mean, but my response to that though is that I think that a manager brings out different things in players, because if Conte comes in and says that I want you to do this role, so for my wing backs, I want you to cross, to be defensively solid, and to do this, then as a player, that's what you will react to on the training pitch. But if a guy like Sarri comes in and says, no, man, I want you to express yourself. Okay, you can do this. No, I want you to be much more attacking. I want you to actually run diagonals. I want you to carry the ball more. I want you to try and look for the 1-2 with Hazard and try and combine and go into the 18-yard box. Then you will respond to that differently, and you may see a different Moses, a different Alonso, because the manager is actually entrusting them to do different things on the ball as to what Conte was. Because Conte is like, no, I want you to be very, it was just very static because it was more rigid and pragmatic. There were obviously advantages to that only works with bloody Diego Costa. But once he told Diego Costa to bounce, the whole system's effed up. So, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see, though.
To be fair, though, with Moses and Alonso, let's face it, they weren't natural wing-backs. You could almost see they were both transformed, especially Moses, because Alonso looked a little bit more natural and comfortable as time went on.
Alonso,
but Moses
is a wing-back at Fiorentina. That's why.
No. Moses is a winger. He's not. He is a winger.
He's exactly the winger. He's not a wing back in terms of him having to come back and sit back and get. Even though he did it. He got stuck in and he got those.
I personally thought he did it better than Alonso, to be honest. And I think from what I'm hearing from everyone, I think everyone's forgetting to it's how you're coached. You know what I mean? Conte uses his wing backs different to how another team's going to use his. Exactly. You know how Sarri likes both his full backs to push forward in the final third, create those overlapping runs. That's what he encourages them to do. And I just think I've always kept saying, fans are going to see a different side to a lot of players who aren't really expecting much from, because the football, I feel, will complement them more naturally. But yeah, Younes, you obviously continue your point.
No, you got a point. That's where I was going. You're definitely going to see elements of players that we haven't expected to see, if you know what I mean. The point that you just made. Moses and Alonso weren't naturally, except for Alonso for his brief time in Italy where he was playing as a wing back. They weren't naturally, you could say, born to be wing backs. So with Sarri in the team now, I'm interested and I'm curious to see how that's going to change, who is going to fit into which role and which new characteristics we're going to see, because we're definitely going to see as... sorry, what's third guy on here? What's your name? Sorry, mate.
Half up. Double H.
Nice one.
Double H. Yeah.
Sweet, nice one. As you said, with these players that are going to be able to push forward more, that are going to be able to contribute more, express themselves more, I think that you're going to see a sides to different players that we haven't seen before. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. With Conte, he was a lot more pragmatic. We all know that he had one system, and it worked in the first season, but it got figured out so quickly. It was unbelievable. Now with Sarri, we might be able to express ourselves. With Sarri, and I want to make this one point, because I discussed this yesterday. We've seen how successful Man City have been with their football. And as Double H said, the one team that managed to actually go against them properly was Liverpool. And they done them over in the Champions League. We saw that. They took them toe-to-toe and they beat them. Tottenham have a very attacking mindset going on. Arsenal, with their new manager, are definitely going to keep, they're definitely not going to be a defensive team, that's for sure. We mentioned Man United, and I was looking at Man United and going, you know what? Mourinho would be completely stupid to not evolve now and to say, you know what? My way of football, that's not going to work this season because Chelsea.
United are screwed. United are screwed.
I mean, we say defensive football doesn't work. We've just seen it work with France at the World Cup. I don't think it's the style of football. I think it's the man that's doing it. I think it's Mourinho. You look at Didier Deschamps and his management of that French side. You look at how he released Pogba. You look at the differences between how he did it with Pogba and how Mourinho does it. I think that is the reason. Defensive football works. Sometimes being pragmatic allows for development. But I think the one thing that we are missing out massively here is we've mentioned City, we've mentioned Liverpool, we've mentioned Arsenal, we've mentioned Tottenham. We've mentioned the one thing I'm going to say with all of them, which is exactly the same. Manchester City spent 9 years building for Pep Guardiola before he arrived. Liverpool have now built for Jurgen Klopp with a long-term deal. Unai Emery has signed a long-term deal at Arsenal. Maurizio Pochettino has been trusted and been given long-term ambitions at Tottenham. The big thing that we're missing, I don't think it's the style of football that needs to evolve. It's the management of the club that does. Long-term is what works. You've seen how it's developed. You've seen how, let's be honest, we'll see with Arsenal this year because we don't know yet. But City, Liverpool, and Tottenham are far better sides and are far better run than we are, and that is just a straight fact.
Yeah,
that is what needs to change.
Currently, they are.
Yeah, I understand what we're saying by currently, but until we see that change, we can't say otherwise. There's no point sitting here and saying.
I think it's happening though. I mean, I see it like this: the old Chelsea would have signed Enrique. We would have signed Luis Enrique easily, paid the money because he's won stuff, he's managed a big club. We would have gone for the reputation over what would benefit what the club actually want. But I think with Enrique, obviously, this guy was demanding stuff in terms of transfer targets, wanted more control. Even though the signings he's made for Barca have been pretty poor over the past few years, that's what the old Chelsea would have done. You know, the old Chelsea would have, let's say, paid whatever money for Luis Campos instead of
Michael
Ballack. So I don't know. I think we should change the conversation because we're going towards a more positive future. And me personally, I feel that there's a very positive vibe happening at the club right now. I mean, you guys, when's the last time you felt this positive with the future at Chelsea? When was the last time you felt this?
I was saying 2 days ago, I haven't felt like this in terms of an arrival of a manager, in terms of how much of an impact it has since Jose in 2004. You know, the way he walked in and it was like, whoa, who is this guy? With Sarri, I'm getting vibes of that just because I'm so intrigued to see how he's going to change his team. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I am excited. I am excited, and I am positive. But we have.
So you're so skeptical. Go on.
Because I like covering my own arse. That's why. I think it's a case of look. I'm excited to see what he does. But we've said we've been excited about managers before. We've said that with Conte. We've said that with lots of other people. I think what we need to see is we need to see how it goes first. I am excited. I'm looking forward to seeing a brand of football. I was very intrigued by what he said in his press conference. I think that he does hold himself well, but that does come down to being a guy who's been in a bank for years and also, you know, managing press at a football level. And the Italian press are, let's be honest, probably some of the worst to deal with on the planet, other than the English press. But I think
don't worry, he'll here.
I know we'll see. Let's see how he does. But for me, saying Chelsea is changing is difficult to see when he's only been given a 3-year contract. Let's see what happens at the end of the first season. I think it's important to see how the team develops. But we have
that's fair.
I look forward to it, but we have to give him time. This is the big thing. I am not going to be jumping on a bandwagon and saying Sarri out, despite, you know, being known for losing my rag. I think this year is a bit different because we might see some change, but we have to see change from within the club itself. Sarri is not. I don't have an issue with Sarri. I think the managerial appointment is exciting. Another reason that people are excited is because it took so bloody long to happen. You know, it's been going on and on and on. People are kind of relieved that it happened. But let's just see what he does and how he does it. I think that's the most important thing. But he has to be backed. The club have to change their stance on their transfer policies. They have to move quickly. They have to get what he wants because we've only got 4 weeks to sort ourselves out. So hopefully everything goes to plan and we do have a nice brand of football in a couple of years because it's not going to happen overnight.
But basically, just to go for what Louis says, I think, again, I told you, I always try and be factual and try and be real. Abramovich is Abramovich. He is what he is, and he's not going to change. But I told you, I've known many Russians growing up, and Russians are very particular kind of people. Because, I mean, I get along with a lot of Russian guys because they're very direct, and I just know how Russians roll. So, and with Abramovich, you know what this guy's about. So, and he's not going to change. And that's why where Louis is going to is that the culture, the Chelsea having a manager for 5-6 years to build like a legacy under Abramovich, that's not happening because that's not how the guy rolls. So I think that with regards to the whole Sarri thing, it's 2 points. At one point, it's great that Chelsea are now hopefully going to be playing a better brand of football. But the second point, man, don't expect results fully next season because it's going to be because you're dealing with clubs and teams who are already well developed. And I mean, City are set. Tottenham, they're still evolving. Liverpool looks set, and they've made some crazy transfers. So I just think that really it has to be a process. But the issue is that you're dealing with a dude called Abramovich who he doesn't give a damn about that. It's results now or get the hell out of it.
Because I think Roman's changed, because I think guys like Mourinho and Conte would have left a long time before. I mean, 2018, the amount of points we were picking up put us in the bottom half of the table. It was awful.
Yeah.
I think with the press conferences as well today, one of the key points made was the fact that Sarri said it himself. The team needs to be competing and challenging around March and April. Now, that's not saying that we need to win something. That's saying that we want to see progress in terms of at least we're challenging for these types of things, because I think the club understand with there's not many stupid figures at the people at the club. Let's be serious. I mean, I think the only way Sarri could be sacked was if we lost, I don't know, 10, 15 games, something ridiculous. But I think that even they understand the situation where most of these guys still aren't even back from pre-season yet after their World Cup campaign. It's going to take him a while for the system to be implemented. I mean, again, as the journalist said in the press conference, what Koulibaly said, and obviously all the articles and reports out there as well, Sarri ball doesn't come overnight. It does take a bit of time. At the time with ADL, when he first signed Sarri was under a lot of pressure because Napoli weren't really winning. I think they lost 3 games consecutively. I mean, something like ADL, I mean, this guy's a type of owner we don't really see here. I mean, imagine he's coming out publicly to criticize the manager, saying, I would have done this, I would have done that. Like, you don't get this in this country. So, as you were saying, Louis, it's completely different with the media there in Italy. And he persevered. And I think with one thing with Napoli too, every single year, the team got better and better. And it wasn't just through stuff like goals and goals scored through open play. It was through stuff like the pass completion. Imagine last season, the whole team's pass completion rate went up by like another 3%. It doesn't sound like a lot overall, but when you're a team like Napoli that are paying thousands of passes a season, to have that massive leap in terms of 3% from the second season to that season just really showed you how well the team got used to the system. That's how much they improved as players, etc., etc. And I just think that I think with Sarri it'll be a matter of time. I think Chelsea, again, just bringing back the points, the comparisons with AVB. Now, again, the Chelsea board, I feel over the years have been growing up, even though they still do a lot of pretty stupid things. We can say that as fans. At the time, imagine you're signing AVB knowing he plays with a high line, high pressing football. You sign him to come to Chelsea, you give him Mission Impossible, you tell him, okay, we want you to try and introduce some younger players into the team and phase out the older guys. Oh, by the way, we're not going to give you any money to buy any key players you would want. They were literally setting him up for failure. All that money they spent on him too, like 15 million, I think it's like the biggest fee paid for a manager ever. It was ridiculous, but I think they've definitely grown up. I think they understand football a bit better. Again, that signing of Jorginho for me really, it was a statement from the board letting them know, you know what, we understand maybe some of the mistakes we've been making in the past. We're trying to rectify this. We're trying to do better for the future. And because again, Jorginho, he can only survive in a certain system. I mean, could Jorginho do well for Mourinho? I don't really think he'd play it to his best. Could he do well playing, let's say, for Tottenham? I wouldn't necessarily say so. To really get the 10 out of 10 best out of him, you've got to use him in that regista role, in that three-man midfield where he can dictate stuff, pass, etc., etc. Now, Chelsea, to spend nearly, 60 million to sign a player like that, a very niche player, it tells you everything about the club wanting a new style and a new philosophy. And, as Sarri himself said, he's the first manager to say, address to us fans, I want you guys to have fun next season. All we've been hearing is a lot of hard work over the years, a lot of suffering over the years. The first manager in how many years who wants us to have fun is music to my ears, to be honest.
Let's see if people do that, though. Because I think Jorginho strikes me as Sarri going, I want Jorginho, and Chelsea going, oh, well, he's seen how we treated Antonio Conte, so let's get him through the door by making this signing. 60 million is the new 30 million, let's be honest. It's so in right now, as many people would say.
Yeah,
no, go on. Sorry, Nini.
No, sorry. Yeah, but obviously, again, we did beat Man City to their signing. Let's not forget that. I mean, this is a player Pep was desperate for. Pep's been raving about him for so long. I mean, he would have upgraded their team because he's better than Fernandinho. And
they had a deal agreed.
Weekend's Man City now because we've signed him. So
yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about that tweet and everyone knows how much I hate Pep Guardiola. Of no one saying no to Pep Guardiola, and he's the fourth player to do it. Good time.
Yeah. But you guys, we've got how many more minutes left now? We've got about 5 more minutes left, so we can continue the discussion. And of course, Louis, you know, at the time you were a bit skeptical on Sarri. Do you still share those same feelings once you've read a bit more about him? What's your whole take on the situation?
I think for me, I am a natural skeptic. I just think it's a case of, well, I think Younes can vouch for that, having known me for nearly 4 years.
Yeah.
I think I think Sarri for me, I think the main thing is me. I'm looking at it from a business perspective, a football business perspective, rather than as a fan. Because I think realistically, we have to see if he gets given time, and if he does do what he's come here to do. You know, it took him 3 years to get to the point he did with Napoli last season. So I'm continually skeptical because that's who I am. But I'm excited to see what Sarri can bring. But the key thing is time. Is he going to get it? We can only hope. We'll just see what happens. To be honest, that's the boat I'm sat in right now. I'm not really attaching myself to managers. I haven't since Mourinho, to be honest. Despite identifying, you know, I think it's just a case of, if to me he might be out of the door in 2 years' time. So let's just hope I'm wrong, and I really hope I am wrong.
Yeah, Double H. I haven't heard you speak for a while. I'm getting kind of scared. What's your whole opinion?
No. I've just been absorbing all what you guys have been saying. But I mean, I think my thing about it is that there are definitely a lot of issues that Sarri needs to work on. But I think even beyond Hazard is the whole striker thing, because I've just been thinking about the striker situation, because Morata is a talented player. Like, I don't care what anyone says. He's an extremely talented player. It didn't work out for him. The thing about Morata is that he's very emotional. And he's one of those players where if he starts playing badly and he starts having misses, like he did, some really bad misses, he's just going to get worse and worse and worse, because he doesn't have that kind of strong character to be like, man, it's fine, I messed up, I'll go on. So he doesn't really have the kind of heart and character that like Drogba had. But my thing is that I do think that perhaps Sarri's system may suit Morata a bit more. Yeah, Giroud is useful. Giroud is a brick. He's a brick. Like let's he's a brick, but he's a useful brick.
So yeah.
He's the sexiest man alive. Okay, Jesus, leave him alone.
No. He's a brick. But my thing is that I think with Morata, I think it'll be very interesting to see, because whether he sticks with Morata or he tries to get another striker. But I've got to go back to my original points. Hazard is critical. Let's just paint the scenario. If Hazard leaves, you can't replace him. He's irreplaceable. There is no player that Chelsea can attract to the level of Hazard in Chelsea's situation of being in the Europa League. But if Hazard, being positive, if Hazard stays, you know, I think Chelsea look extremely interesting next season, because this is Hazard at his highest level that he's ever been. Yeah. So if Hazard stays, with how Sarri is playing and the kind of people that he could possibly attract, I think Chelsea could be a very, very dangerous team. A very dangerous team.
Yeah, and I agree. And again, it's my opinion, but I think that Hazard is going to be staying. And you're right. I mean, you know, with Sarri as well, that system, a lot of the play does get focused on that left-hand side. And, you know, Hazard's going to be key. To be honest, I see Emerson playing, because I can't see Alonso playing as like a gung-ho attacking fullback. Doesn't have the legs. He can't beat a man. I just don't see it happening with Alonso.
So is this the end of Fabregas then? So is Fabregas done?
But no, here's the thing. Obviously, with Fabregas, everyone's forgetting the guy's on 200k a week now. It's very hard to avoid a player.
He's nowhere near done. He's nowhere near done.
Because it's like, again, everyone's forgetting, you know, he was linked with Inter and AC Milan last summer. But now when they offered to take him on loan, they didn't offer anywhere near that amount. They offered like less than 50%. That was how much they were willing to pay. So I think when it comes to getting rid of Fabregas, I think the only way he would go was if Percy was like, maybe I don't want to fight for my place again. But at the same time, you guys, I think Fabregas, I mean, again, I think he's a bit of an underrated player because we've been seeing him play as a box under Conte. And I'm always stressing about how it's important to use players in their natural right positions. I'm sick and tired of seeing players who's out of position. It's only in England where you see this stuff happening. I don't see this stuff happening in other countries like this. And I just think you need backup for Jorginho. Because think about it like this. I can imagine in this country, teams will try to target Jorginho if they try to press high. They're going to go, you get away with, you're allowed to make 3 tackles before you get a yellow card. You know what I mean? Imagine worst came to worst, Jorginho was injured with something. Now, who's going to fulfill that role in midfield? It could only be Fabregas who could fulfill that role in midfield. And you think about the games we're playing with Europa League, there's going to be even more games at the end of the season. I just think it's a case where we keep Cesc, he plays those Europa games because the group stage, until we get to like the quarterfinals, it's literally a waste of time, to be honest, in terms of the caliber of teams we're playing against. I don't want to see Jorginho getting exhausted over a season. I think we're in a situation where we've got 2 similar players. I think that's good squad depth to have. And I think that Fabregas is a role for next season, in my opinion.
Fabregas is slower than me. That says a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, but then that's what I mean, though. Under Conte ball, because he likes all his mids to run. But then Sarri ball isn't like that. You don't have to run 50 yards.
I'm not talking.
Fabregas is. I mean, come on. Fabregas is done. I think he's done.
I don't know.
Fabregas.
Nah, you know what? No, with how I've seen how he's been training over the summer, right, and the shape he was in, and I saw everyone saw it. That frightened me. I know he's been training hard, and I'm thinking as a backup to Jorginho, it's perfect. As you said, we need the squad depth, especially with last season. We struggled with squad depth. We had such a small squad; it was ridiculous. So back up to Jorginho, perfect.
I think it's a case of he may be a good backup. He could be good as an older head in the squad. I think that's it. But obviously his contract runs out at the end of the year. I would, if no one's going to buy him, just let his contract run. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a good professional. He's
exactly.
I just think the problem is even with Conte, let's not forget, right? Fabregas is a player who has played the role he played. He played under Mourinho in the 14-15 season where he was superb. He then got found out straight away in the 15-16 season. And I'm not talking later. I'm talking Swansea. In that very first game, they were all over. And they know if you stop Fabregas, you stop Chelsea. So right now, I think it's a case of, this system, if it's so heavily reliant on Jorginho, it's going to take time to build. And I think we should have younger players learning. Fabregas should just be a member of the squad. Physically, he's too slow. It's not. I'm not talking about him as in terms of how his ball playing skill is. He can still play a ball. He's superb at that, but his head does it quicker than his body does, and that's a sign of you getting on.
That's all that matters in Sarri ball is his head being quicker than his body. That's why you guys keep forgetting. Next season, our defenders will be on the halfway line because Sarri likes to use a straight back four that does play the offside trap very well, and that's why he works on that a lot, very hard in training. We're going to be teams will be forced in their own half. They're not going to understand how to play against us next year because it's a completely different Chelsea setup to everything they've known about us. Fabregas isn't going to need to run 80, 70 yards. His feet will do the talking. His passing. Yeah. Look at Jorginho. Jorginho is a guy that's not running here and running there. You don't need to run as much when the opposition are parts of their own half. Let them do the running. This is what I mean. We got to change our mentality in terms of how we see things for next season because it's no more suffer ball anymore. It's Sarri ball now.
Well, no, I mean, for me, I get what you're saying, but I just feel like if I'm just looking at it in the overall picture, that Fabregas that we saw 2011, 2012, like at the height of when Spain were dominating, I just don't think, which is like the point that Louis is making, you still need the physicality. Even if, your brain is there is still a certain amount of physicality, especially in the Premier League. Doesn't matter what footballer, especially in the Premier League, you still need that swiftness that David Silva still has. That's, you could say Iniesta still has. I think Fabregas has just lost that extra, that extra quickness that he once had. That whatever system you're playing, it can't make it effective.
I don't know. I don't remember Fabregas ever having any pace. I mean, when you look at Fabregas's running stats, he covers some of the most ground in the team because he's always been a midfielder where the play goes through him. So he's always.
I'm not talking about him running. I'm talking about just about how quickly he finds the pass and makes that pass.
But I think
he was doing it a lot quicker before than he was now.
I mean, at the end of the day, we will see. We will see if he still has it. I think, like we said, and I keep saying about myself, I'm a skeptic, but we'll see. It's all a case of we will see. This, as Nini's saying, this is a completely new system. If Fabregas does appear to have this extra bit of pace about him in his play, because obviously when I'm not talking, with me and Nabil aren't talking the physicality in terms of the pace all round. We're just talking about that extra, that millisecond difference with age. Younes, turn off your vibrator. I'm talking. I think it's the case of. I think it's just the case of. I think we just have to see, and I keep saying it, but I think it's something that we have to reinforce into people's heads now, rather than 3 months down the line when people are worried that the football's not as good and the press are getting on Sarri's back because Chelsea are still playing poorly despite him coming in with all this fanfare. You know, it's just wait back.
I hear that. I do hear that. But honestly, I kind of think with football too, I always feel sometimes it can be easy to predict how things are going to be because there's always like a long history of how things have panned out before. I mean, I think Conte's a prime example. You know, you guys know how he left Juventus, right? Literally the exact same way he left Chelsea. You know what I mean? So no one can be like that. That was a complete surprise that Conte did that. I think you can just see how these things do pan out eventually. I don't know. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing how Sarri's going to develop the players. You guys, I think it's the coaching, especially to, you know, we're forgetting that these guys will be playing with the ball predominantly. There's not going to be no more Sarri, no more Conte training where you're not playing with the ball and it's all about keeping possessions. Yeah, I give Conte credit for that because sometimes it can be a thing of beauty watching like everyone in sync together, moving to the left, moving to the right. But it doesn't matter if they can't do nothing with the ball, and especially when there was never any proper counter-attacking threat. I mean, to play that type of football and we rarely score from counter-attacks, to me that really says it all. But I think that with Sarri's training, I mean, it was the same thing with Pep Guardiola. Pep's training is the reason why City have gone another level. This is why you see those team goals. That's another thing that Napoli have, those team goals where it looks very simple. Everyone's in coordination. Everyone knows where to be at the right time. They know how to break teams down. That's what we've never had at Chelsea. Not since Ancelotti have we had a manager that coaches your team how to break down the opposition. And I think once you're doing that, because we know in this country too, all the teams underneath the top four, they all play pussy tactics against the big teams. Pussy tactics. They don't like to press, they don't like to do this or do that. And especially when you keep the ball as well, they get even scared. That gets even worse for them. And that's only going to play towards our advantage, in my opinion. And again, Double H, you were talking about Morata. I think, again, I think Morata could do something. I think Mitchell as well. Yes. They're not going to be used as stupid target men anymore. Imagine you have guys like this to use as a target man. Oh, I don't understand manager decisions sometimes, you know.
Honestly, he's the one that's going to surprise a lot of people. People are talking about Morata, Giroud.
Yeah.
Batshuayi, for me, is the one that's going to cause the shock because he couldn't find his way under Conte. He went to Dortmund and done some next business over there. You know, and I think under Sarri, he's going to be the striker that we've all been waiting for him to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's going to be the underrated one. A lot of people are waiting for Morata to show up. How's Giroud going to fit in? I think with the right development, Batshuayi could end up being the number one striker.
No, because I think the thing about Batshuayi is that, which is what Conte didn't figure out, that Batshuayi is a natural finisher. And when you look at how Sarri likes to play the ball, like the idea would be, obviously, which is what Younes is saying, is that where so much of the football is being played and Batshuayi is just the icing on the cake.
Yes.
So literally, he will just get the through balls, those passing, and Batshuayi is right place, right time. He puts the ball in the net.
Exactly.
And that's just what you need. So all those guys, the pass, the movements, and everything is all to try and create a situation to get Batshuayi that killer ball that's most likely he'll put in the net because he's such a cold-blooded finisher.
Exactly. Can I add to your point quickly? Obviously, you guys know I'm a football geek. I like to do all my stat research and all that type of stuff. Obviously, when you look at Sarri ball, there's one thing you notice when you look at the strikers. Now, the strikers don't really get involved in the build-up at all. I mean, the average passes they play per game is like between, I think, 22 to 28 passes a game, which is nothing. Now, what was one weakness you'd say was Morata and Mitchell's weakness? That's their build-up play, because they've never been strikers where they've ever had to play with a build-up play style. Now, this is where Sarri ball works, and this is where the goals come from, because these guys can just focus on what they do best, which is the movement inside the box. And I think Mitchell, I keep making this point, I think this guy's a bit Falcao-esque. I keep saying it all the time with his movement, his finishing with his left foot, right foot, curling effort. He can blast it. He's a very clinical finisher as well. Very, very clinical. Now, we'll speak a tiny bit longer for the next, maybe 5-10 minutes before we wrap the stream up. Maybe we can talk about a bit of transfers now. Obviously, I thought maybe talk about Higuain, talk about Alisson and stuff. But I don't know. I look at this Higuain signing. Now, I understand why it makes sense in a way, because, of course, Higuain had his best season under Sarri. He is again, it's weird. Higuain is a top finisher, but then he has those games where it just don't work for him. You know what I mean?
No. He flops on the big stage. He's allergic to.
Higuain. This was exactly the thing I didn't want to talk about. So we're talking about Batshuayi, Morata, Giroud. I mean, Morata, I would happily drive to the airport, but the other two, it offers two different options. Higuain is asking for £7.5 million a year and a 5-year deal.
Yeah,
he paid 50-odd million up front, and the all in, he cost us about, including his wages, 85 million quid. I'm sorry, that is the biggest waste of money I have. I don't care if he was good under Sarri. That was 3 years ago. Forget 3 years ago. Look at now. Look at the options we have available. We're talking about clinical finishers. We've got one. We've even got Tammy Abraham, who I know he didn't cut it at Swansea last season, but he's still a player which could be in and around the squad and can still offer stuff.
Definitely.
We have the tools available up front. If we drop Morata, go and put Tammy Abraham in that position, or go out and find someone else who fits the system who is younger. Do not spend a total of £85 million on a bloke who is as big as a house, a lot like me. Okay, it's a case of we don't need it. He's 30. Move on.
Wait. What's the situation with Loftus-Cheek?
I think obviously
he's coming back on loan
right now. But again, what I'm hearing is a bit conflicting. On one side, I keep hearing that he definitely has a future. He will be here. On the other side, I keep hearing about a potential loan move. I think I was hearing something about Bournemouth inquiring to Chelsea about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Right now, I don't know the situation. As I said, is conflicting. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of siding with him staying. I can't imagine why. I don't think it's the right time now for the club to do that. But again, with Golovin, he's signing soon. I think reports coming out of Pjanic talks as well. I don't know, you guys. Again, this transfer window is going to end not too long now. 20 days before it ends. There's a lot of players that we have to get rid of. Of course, there's a lot of midfielders that need to go. There's no, I don't know. To be honest, I guess Bakayoko could play that Alan role.
The biggest thing, Cahill for Koulibaly. If they can do a swap for, because Cahill, in my opinion, is complete trash. That guy is awful. A garbage, god awful defender. Yeah. And in my opinion, Koulibaly is one of the best defenders you can get out there. As in, that will just. And also remember, Koulibaly is very good at bringing the ball up from defense. So it's tailor-made for Sarri's system as well. But I think, for Chelsea, I think a lot of players need. I'm not sure Willian suits the system. Fabregas, let's see how that goes. I still think that we can see a different kind of Moses. Giroud, I don't think he fits the system. But he has his uses. Giroud has his uses as you're there to facilitate.
Giroud, he's another guy that makes no sense to me. At the same time, his contract isn't very big at all. I can't imagine him doing bits in a Sarri system. Here's the thing. The thing with being a striker for Sarri is you've got to be clinical. You've got to finish these chances. That'd be nearly all the goals scored in Sarri balls from open play. Play. Now, how many times do you see Giroud really doing that from open play? Most times it's set pieces and stuff. He makes no sense to me, to be honest.
This is why when we got him initially, when we got Giroud, obviously there was a few people that were happy. With the fact that we knew the breakdown was already happening between Conte and the board, Conte and the club.
Yeah.
All right. I started thinking if we get Giroud in, yes, he's going to sort us out in terms of having a striker up there that can hold the ball.
Yeah.
And that can bring it down, and that's good in the air. But when Conte leaves, where is he going to be? And now here we are. I don't see his place in the team. I just...
Again, 18th month deal. His deal runs out at the end of the year. If he fits in the system and plays well and there's another option and Sarri likes him, fine. Give him another contract, let him stay. I mean, he is, again, another player over 30. But we've seen at the World Cup, despite him not scoring goals, and we've obviously seen as Chelsea fans, he has his uses. We've said that. We're talking about a clinical finisher. This guy consistently scored 15 goals a season for Arsenal. Okay?
Quick
from positions. Go on.
Yeah.
At the World Cup, and this shocked me. He didn't have a single shot on target.
It was awful. I thought he was poor.
Jesus.
I mean, I
Not
understand.
one single shot.
Yeah, I thought he was poor. Now, I understand. Here's the thing. I thought Giroud was getting credit that wasn't the... I mean, the only benefit he had was, you know, he played that role, and he didn't even play it well. He just was the guy that France needed there, where guys like Mbappe and Griezmann could have the space to do their thing. That was
exactly.
If it was any other target man could have done the same thing. Exactly. He was awful, and I know Giroud, of course. You know, the last literally 3-4 games, that was when he was pretty good for us. You guys know me. I look at the overall thing. I don't care if you did well in 4 games, but you were shit in the last 15 games. That means nothing to me. But Giroud, I just don't see it. Not from open play. Are you going to rely on him to score that chance if it comes? No. I don't know.
I think it'll be interesting to see. He helped with our build-up play towards the back end of the season, where he held the ball up and stuff. I understand what we're saying. For France, he was a water carrier. You know, I think every team needs a water carrier. He's another player, like we're saying. Deal runs out at the end of the season. We want to let him go. We let him go. Same goes for Fabregas. Same goes, I think, Cahill as well. Yeah. I think if anything, we're talking about Cahill and Koulibaly. Napoli aren't. Let's forget financials. Let's forget clubs. Let's look at this politically. Are you going to sell a third acquisition of yours to someone? Yeah. So it's going to happen. So it's a case of. I mean, everyone's talking about Uruguay and that. If anything, we have too many. Yeah. We need to get rid of centre backs. We have, including Ampadu. I was doing this in my head yesterday. We have 6: David Luiz, Cahill, Rudiger, Christensen.
Too much.
We've got too many players.
I tell this right now, man. David Luiz. I've been saying this for so long. David Luiz would make a great DM.
If you don't need to
defend.
I don't know. For playing out from the back, though, I mean, here's the thing, you know, Sarri, both defenders got to be good on the ball. Albiol and Koulibaly were. Honestly, one thing for me, I don't know why Luiz has been written off so quickly. I mean, let's not forget it was the injury. It wasn't because he... when's the last bad game? When's the last bad game Luiz has had in the past 2 years that's really stood out for you?
Luiz has not been injured for a while. And I mean, Eunice and they know why I know this. Yeah, so you know why. So he's not been injured for a while. It was a political landscape at Chelsea, which is why he wasn't playing. Luiz shouldn't play as a centre half. Again, as much as we hate him, Rafa Benitez, stroke of genius, put him in midfield. That is where Luiz should be.
I don't get it though, because he hasn't performed badly for us in defence. That's what I don't get. It'd be different if he's been shit for us. And then we're saying abuse him in a different. Here's the thing: if you're doing shit in defense, why should he play in midfield?
But what I'm saying is that I think that it's not about him not performing badly in defense. It's like, where are you going to get the best out of him?
I think defense.
I think that Luiz, he's so good on the ball, and he can defend as well. But he's so good on the ball. He's so good at shooting. He's so good at bringing the ball forward that he's wasted just being put right there in defense. Whereas if you put him in a midfield, especially in a Sarri system that is attacking and offensive, I think that Luiz can just give Chelsea a whole different kind of dimension that they've never really tapped into. You know,
I don't know. But where do we play him in a Sarri system if we're sticking him in midfield?
I mean,
Kante is there and
Jorginho. It's tricky.
Where are you sticking him?
I think Luis should be an option on the bench. If you think about it, you've got someone who could play centre half, and if they use him correctly, defensive midfield, he's an option. Rudiger has to start. He has to start. I don't care what anybody says. He is. I love that man, and he's
a good defender.
Not only is he a very good defender, he's very mobile, and that's exactly.
But where, centre back or right back?
Centre back. My team goes. As the players we still have, I'll use them in there. You've got Courtois, you've got back four, you've got Azpilicueta and Emerson as your fullbacks, Rudiger and Christensen as your centre halves. Into midfield, you go Jorginho sitting, Loftus-Cheek, Kante. You then have a front three of Hazard, Batshuayi, and Willian. That is current. That's with the current assets we have. That is the team in my head. That's how I see it.
What about Christensen?
Christensen is your ball playing centre half. He's next to Rudiger.
Oh, you've got 3 ball-playing ones: Rudiger, Chris. And here's the thing. Obviously, I hear the point you're making, but sorry, I'm changing the conversation a tiny bit because we're talking about defenders, and there's a guy. It looks like he'll be signing for us pretty soon, and he's called Rugani. Now, for me personally, I don't understand the logic in this at all. Now, before anyone says, "Oh, Sarri said in this press conference that defense needs strengthening," that was a mistranslation. He was talking about midfield. Talking about defense. Yeah. I don't understand the point of Rugani at all. I mean, I'm seeing 45 million too. It's gone up. The price has gone up, and I just don't understand why Juventus's third choice or fourth choice defender is signing for us. And we've got Rudiger, Christensen, guys like Aspi, Luiz, and even Zuma. I just don't see the common sense in the signing at all. And it's just like typical, for me personally, it's a typical frustrating Chelsea signing where those funds could be diverted elsewhere, not on a defender who I can't see him being a first team player, in my opinion. And he hasn't even deserved why he should be a first team player at Chelsea when, I mean, Juventus sold Bonucci and he still wasn't able to be that first choice defender.
I think a lot of it comes down to Daniele. Sorry, Double H, go on, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I mean, I'll be very brief and then I'll give it back to you. I mean, I think Chelsea's focus, in my view, right now, let's assume Hazard is staying. If Hazard stays, I think their focus must be on getting really inventive, marauding wing backs. I think that should be the focus because I think midfield sorted. You've already got your superstar in Hazard if he stays. Batshuayi, and as Louis says, Christensen, Rudiger in there. But I think the weakest points, I think, is those wing backs. Alonso and Moses, it's up for debate whether we will see them become better or not. We do not know. But if we assume that, okay, they're not really natural wing backs, then I think the main thing is getting natural wing backs that can actually cross the ball, get to the byline, and actually offer something interesting in attack, rather than from being very predictable as Alonso and Moses were.
So to counter that point, then, would you drop Azpilicueta as a right back? Would you not play him? This is what they say. You cannot drop Azpilicueta.
You can't. He's not droppable.
Is essential in defense for me. Azpilicueta can play right back, left back, or central defense. In my opinion, Azpilicueta is a must. Then you decide either Rudiger or Christensen. Azpilicueta is essential for the defense. So I'll put him in the center, and you take a choice between Rudiger or Christensen. That's my thing.
I mean, we signed him as a right back. That's where his natural position was.
Initially.
He played him as another fullback.
Long time ago, yeah.
I think I know it's a long time ago, but he's played as a fullback. It's 2 seasons under Conte at centre half. The reason he was playing centre half was because of his mobility. I thought that was it. But I think he is a fullback. That's it.
I mean, at the same time, here's the thing. Of course, with the training sessions, the coaching that will be happening, they're playing with the ball every day. They're naturally going to improve. I mean, we can see that with the Napoli players. Every single one of them reached another level and got better. I mean, Jorginho was always seen as a promising guy. Benitez never used him. He was very close to leaving Napoli. Sarri favoured him over Valdiafori, the guy that he brought with him from Empoli. And now he's one of the best midfielders in the world. Same with Koulibaly. This guy was seen as a joke. He can't pass. He can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, now he's one of the best ball-playing defenders in the world. So this is the reality that's going to be happening with us for this season. And you know what, I'll keep some optimism in regards to Aspilicueta, in regards to what can happen, because I know we talk about crossing a lot, but we got to think of the context in which these crosses are going to be made from. Now, it's not going to be this Sarri nonsense where players are going to be, you know, from very deep positions, or I mean the Conte nonsense.
Conte nonsense.
Yeah, but they're going to be from like really deep positions, and they got to put in like David Beckham crosses, or it's not going to be them ones where it's like, you know, people are putting low-driven crosses in, and there's like one guy in the box. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of team build-up goals where it's not even going to be crosses. It's going to be passes along inside the box. We've seen it with Man City, Napoli. Most of their goals were coming through situations like that out wide. Gulam putting in low drivens. It's not even going to be necessarily the case of crossing, because, you know, Sarri likes to keep the ball. So I think when we talk about wing backs, full backs, whatever, I don't think we have to worry too much about crossing. I think what we have to focus on more is if they're good footballers, if they can keep the ball in the final third, if they can link up. I know there's some people there that just don't understand my thing with Moses, but I mean, again, I'm sorry, this guy keeps the ball in the final thirds, and I think that's the most important thing that you're going to need. I think with Alonso, he doesn't really keep the ball well. He can't get past someone. And when you know that Sarri focuses the play down the left-hand side, I mean, it's tailor-made for Emerson to do bits. As he was saying, the game against Burnley, where he was just bombing forward, doing this, doing that. Expect to see that happen under Sarri. But again, I keep rambling on. But I mean, we were talking about players and who needs to be sold. I'm expecting most of these guys to go in January, to be honest. I think, isn't that when the Chinese market's open to?
I think that the Chinese market, I think it opens in mid-December through to mid-January.
Exactly. So, but we're making some money from that in the January market. So,
I mean, we'll see. I think we
China.
I mean, I think realistically, we can go through a few players which are probably going to be dropped from that squad. I think Danny Drinkwater, again, a player which, let's be honest, he's not played consistently enough. So I forgot
he was at the club.
But let's be honest, Danny Drinkwater, when he has played, again, I like to use the term water carrier, and ironically, Danny Drinkwater is a water carrier. You know, we're talking about James. Hey, no, it's not even a joke. James, shut up! Don't laugh at me. That's my feelings. James, you know, they got James Milner at Liverpool, who is the water carrier. You've got Fernandinho at City, a water carrier. You've got players that just do the simple stuff. I think that Danny Drinkwater, when he's played for us, has been doing the simple stuff. I think he might be good to have in and around the squad just for that if we need to just keep it simple. However, he is more likely to go as we have other players that technically are far better than him. I think Ross Barkley, what the hell has happened to him? I think he, you know, unless we all of a sudden see some amazing transformation under Sarri. I think we've spoken about. I've spoken to Everton fans about him. I'm really close to a few of them, for family members. They say, you know, he's a good player, but he's not got a football brain. He's not a technical player. He's a bit of he's a meathead. He gets the ball, he runs, you know, tunnel vision, and we've seen that with us. So it's a case of he should go. Bakayoko will probably be in and around the squad, but is more likely to go on loan. But however, we saw towards the back end of the season again. Prime example, the Liverpool game at home, simple stuff, did the job. It's you know, if we have people in and around the squad that can do simple stuff that are technically sound, then so be it. But I mean, the midfield is overweight. The centre backs, we have far too many. I think we need to look for wingers. One. We have that in Callum Hudson-Odoi potentially, or Charlie Masunda. I think we might, let's see what happens with Batshuayi and all these other players. However, we're not going and in the centre forward position. If we don't sign someone this window, there's no point chasing someone in January because the prices are going to be completely oversold. I think, look, realistically, right now, we'll make maybe one more acquisition or two more. We're in the right or wrong positions. But I think what we see in front of us is the squad that we have. And it's not one of the best squads in the league. It definitely isn't. It's not. It's again, Conte as a manager. We saw him leave under a cloud, but he won the league with what was arguably the third or fourth best team in the league at that point on paper. So let's just see what happens under Sarri. Let's see how everything develops in terms of transfer dealings, who we need to sign. Main position we need to worry about right now is the goalkeeper. Regardless of what
I think we can touch on Alisson just a tiny bit. Now with the whole Alisson thing, I mean, here's again, as the reports had confirmed later today, we did make a bid for Alisson, but with how aggressive Liverpool were, I mean, you know, we can't forget they made literally 2 bids in the space of how many hours in the early hours of yesterday. You know what I mean? They're serious. They paid the money up front. Our situation was always Courtois. Now, of course, you guys, I will take a bit of an L. I'm not going to lie. I personally feel by now, people, you know, you watch my videos, you should understand how I structure them. I'll say the news first, then you should understand the context. I'm giving my opinions. At the end, I felt confident about Alisson because we all know that we've been talking. Reports in Italy have been saying we've been speaking to him as well. Me personally, I was thinking, well, before we got to do is match the bids that Liverpool make for Alisson, and we need to sell. We need to buy a keeper first before we sell Courtois. In my opinion, I thought it was just a common sense thing that this deal will be wrapped up. But it seems like obviously Liverpool have moved in even quicker because they know that Chelsea will be making a bid. It seems by the time we even came in with our bids, a fee was agreed, and Alisson's moved there. You know, it looks like he's going to be moving to Liverpool. I mean, it's not 100% confirmed just yet. I mean, there's been millions of stories. I mean, the infamous ones. I mean, you can say the Fekir earlier this summer. The guy was in the shirt and doing the photos, and it didn't go through. Willian did the medical at Tottenham.
Craziness.
Willian, exactly. I mean, Oscar as well. I mean, so many of these things happen all the time. Ideally, I'm praying that there's going to be another fuck up for Liverpool, and we do come in for him. But at this moment in time, I don't think Liverpool do want to make the same mistake they made with Fekir. And I think this is why they just splash the money, be like, you know what, Karius, after that mistake you made in pre-season, we can't risk you again. You've got to pay whatever money. And that aggressive approach, I mean, it seems like literally the speed of things, you know?
I mean, it's... Oh, go on, Younes.
Well, I mean, with Alisson, it does look like it's pretty much over the line. I'd be surprised if it fell through, and I would laugh because, yeah, as you said, Fekir and all the previous transfers that haven't gone through, and the fact they've got Karius, if they just go through, then ban the Club FC. Anyway,
just to be safe, I have taken a screenshot of Redmen TV's Instagram saying unlucky with Alisson kicking a Chelsea ball. So just in case we do come in at the last minute, I will be all over Paul and Chris. So don't worry. We're I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But from all the news that's going around, I do.
Okay. So Courtois is definitely out. He's definitely.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. What's happening is we're blatantly waiting instead to confirm Courtois' transfer to Madrid and just say, you know what, you can go. We're blatantly trying to get a replacement first, and then when that's sorted, we go, okay, Thibaut, you can go.
Yeah.
But if Alisson isn't coming, then who do we go for?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. So, of course,
Michael, man, Casper,
Michael, Pickford, Butland. They're guys.
Let's not go for Schmeichel or Butland just because they saved a few penalties at a World Cup. Okay, everyone's seen mistakes happen with so many transfers over the past. Kasper Schmeichel's a decent keeper.
I think if he was a stopgap keeper for a season, because sometimes you got to make these decisions. If you can't get your first choice target, I mean, what keepers are out there in the market right now other than Alisson?
Like, you're not going to get Oblak, you're not going to get De Gea, you're not going to get Neuer.
Teams aren't
who else?
No,
you're not going to get to Stegen. So it's like the top keepers are locked in.
You look at young keepers then. I mean, I think Kepa is a fine example of a keeper. I think it's as a level. How do you say his name? I can't pronounce it. That could Bilbao kid.
Yeah.
Donnarumma is currently available in the market because of AC Milan's financial difficulties.
He seems like an option. But Raiola, we can't underestimate Raiola. Chelsea and him don't have a good relationship, so I can't. This is why I can't see him.
I mean, give me someone Raiola has a good relationship with. Jesus Christ, the guys are.
Raiola, it's like a personal thing because the club were pissed off with him about the Lukaku thing. Because obviously his loyalties were kind of with like Mourinho, so he kept pushing Lukaku. There was all this, I mean, I don't want to get into that right now. It's such a long story, but I can't see Raiola being, unless Donnarumma is the one that really forces a move. I just can't see it really happening. I mean, the reality is stopgap keeper. I think Schmeichel for a season would be good. I mean, we don't necessarily need the best keeper in the world in the sense, because as long as he's good on the ball and that, as long as he just complements the style of play. In a sense, even though I think we will be competing, there's still some realistic expectations, you know, behind the scenes as well. So yeah, but you guys, you know what? I'm thinking that I think we've kind of spoken about everything really. I think the stream has gone on. I think it's an hour and a half now. I think this will be the best time to cut everything short and just end this. You guys, obviously, thank you for coming on. It's been a good stream, been very interesting. I mean, to be honest, we could probably talk for another hour. That was what it was leading to.
Easily. Honestly, Nini, this reminds me and Eunice of the good old days. This is where Chelsea YouTube was founded. Yeah. Me, Dan, Eunice, Tony, and me putting on a pair of glasses to be a weird Scottish bloke. That was where this all started. So it's great. True. You know, this is fantastic, mate. Thank you so much for having us.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's good. Obviously, you know, this is why I picked all of us, you know, passionate fans, where we can share ideas, debate things, discuss things, etc., etc. I think a lot of people liked it. I mean, I've broken my record for a stream. I had more than 1,200 people watching consecutively.
Wow.
You know, more than 1,000.
Wow, that's quality.
That's good.
More than 1,100 for like nearly the past 30-40 minutes now. So it's been pretty crazy. But I mean, if anything, it tells me that we got to do this more because I think people like it. Hopefully, you guys just come a bit earlier.
I hold my hands up today. I am sorry, but Eunice can never make any promises, so I wouldn't even bother asking him about them. Be quicker on the stream.
Eunice, make sure you've painted every room first. Make sure you've done all the decorating. Make sure you do all that shit first. Like,
trust me,
I think the way they were building it up, like even when you post, it just seems as if like you were literally amassing like the biggest titans. It was like, you know, like Blue Lions featuring an event, Eunice, because like it seemed as if it was top billing. So like literally, because I had like so many retweets and everything, I was like, man, this is like a huge boxing match, the end all boxing matches or something.
Double H, you said it yourself, right? Listen, the people in this chat are Chelsea YouTube. These are the real Chelsea fans right here. Other ones are not here.
No, I don't want to get in trouble, man. Look, man, hashtag me too. That's all I'm going to say. Hashtag me too.
You set me up for that. I knocked that shit down. That is where we go.
Exactly.
I'm going to get in so much trouble tomorrow.
It's been good.
No comment.
Again for next week. But if everyone wants to say their shout outs, of course, you guys on 100% Chelsea just released a video. If you want some more Chelsea content, I mean, there's all of us released videos today, so you know where to go to find the content. Of course, Eunice, Louis, Double H, Have Hope, thank you guys for coming on. You guys, make sure to check out everyone's YouTube channel as well. We're one community. Obviously, it's not really a competition at all. It's all about just going together, continuing the discussion, etc., etc. And yeah, you guys, obviously too. I'm not gonna lie, I've got a massive video, probably the biggest video I've ever done. That will be coming soon. I mean, you guys will never expect what it's going to be. You're definitely gonna like it. I'm hoping that it's going to get a bit of a buzz, you know, during like, you know, Chelsea, you know, YouTube, social media, and all of that. I'm hoping it's going to be a big one. But you guys, obviously, yeah. Thank you for watching, you guys. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.